Hello, everybody. How are you? Well, I hope you can all hear me okay, and thanks for tuning in today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to bring you on this tour of a couple of our egg facilities and a live cook along with Chef Mike as well. So I wanted to start off and say Happy Ontario Agriculture Week. We are also very excited to share that it is also World Egg Day today, and we can't wait to celebrate this with you with an egg barn tour, an egg grading station tour, a grocery store visit, and an egg cook along as well. So before we get started on our tour, I wanted to introduce myself as your very first tour guide, and later on you guys will get to meet Chef Mike as well. So my name is Janelle, and I work for a company called Grey Ridge Eggs. We are an Ontario-based company, and we wash and grade and supply eggs to grocery stores all across Ontario. So many of the grocery stores near you carry eggs directly from our facilities. I work there as a producer representative, so I have the luxury of getting to walk around in all the egg barns, looking at the chickens, working with the farmers. I specialize in egg quality, so making sure all the eggs are not broken or dirty, and making sure lots of grade A eggs get to the grocery store for you and your family to buy. My favorite part about my job, well, first of all, I've been there for 8 years, is definitely working with the hens in the barn. So I can't wait to take you on a tour and how we're going to get started. So before we get our farm tour ready, we're going to be going through two different barn videos. So the very first one, what we're going to do is I'm going to be talking over the video, just explaining what we're seeing, a few different styles of housing systems for the chickens. And there's a few baby chicks in those videos as well. So get excited for that. And then the very second video, it's actually a pre-recorded video that I had done previously for another class, and I'll be talking a little bit about everything that it takes to look after laying hens and everything that they need in the barn. Okay, so with that, let's get started into the first video. So in this very first video, this is a barn of baby chicks. We also call them pullets. A pullet is anything from a 1-day-old to a 19-week-old hen. So in here, it does look like there's quite a few baby chicks, but baby chicks are very curious and they love to follow the camera. You can see in here, this is a loose-housed aviary style. They have access to water, feed, perching, and scratching. In this next barn, it's an enriched coop housing barn. So in this barn, the hens are 19 weeks old and they're laying eggs at this point. They're housed in smaller groups so they get to know their roommates a little bit better. The hens have access to a feed trough, which you could see them eating there right now. They have access to nesting as well. That's behind those red curtains. Hens love to lay eggs in a nice private dark area. They have access to perching, which are those white little rails on the ground. Hens like to sleep up on a perch rail. And that was just the drinker there at the back of the coop. So they have 24-hour access to fresh feed, water, perching. There's a scratch mat in there for them to scratch at, and the nesting as well. In this style of housing, we keep the hens on a mesh floor so that their poop stays away from their feet and the eggs. This next barn here is an aviary or free-run housing. So these are laying hens that are laying eggs in here. The hens get to run around, they're loose inside their barn with access to the same resources just as the other enriched barn that we saw. They have to navigate through their jungle gym of perches, nests, feeders, and drinkers, and then there's litter below them for them to go down and dust bathe in. You can see them climbing their little ladder there to get up to the top level of their system. They really enjoy perching, having little snoozes during the day. This next section, so it's time to collect the eggs. Hens lay one egg every day, and we collect the eggs daily. We have an automated system that the eggs are brought up from the barn into an egg packaging room, and we use an egg packing machine to make sure that the eggs are very carefully handled, and we don't want to accidentally break any of the eggs, and packaged into plastic trays on farm. Then the farmer, this next section here is stacking the trays into a stack of eggs and loading them onto a skid of eggs that is then picked up by our refrigerated egg trucks once per week. So I hope you guys enjoyed that quick video. So this next tour, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what it takes to actually look after the laying hens, everything that's needed in barn management practices. So I'm just going to sit back and you guys can enjoy the video, and feel free, keep your questions for after. We're going to have a question period after the farm, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's get started.
An enriched coop house is a type of housing that Canada has adopted about 5 years ago now. It's in our code of practice. So the entire country is gradually adjusting to this style of housing. And it's very interesting, and I think the hens really enjoy it. It has a nesting box for them, perch rails, a scratch mat, and nice lighting as well. These little red flats, this is our nest, and this provides, open up the little door here, this provides the hens with a little bit of privacy, and they prefer to lay their eggs in a darker area, and also in a corner actually. So I'll just open up the little curtain. You can see there's a couple of hens in there wondering why I'm peeking in, but that's where they go every morning to lay their eggs. And then the eggs roll out of the cage, which is very important. If the eggs did not roll out of the cage, the hens could actually step on them, poop on them, peck them. And we want to make sure that the eggs are all grade A's, which are non-cracked, non-dirty eggs going to the grocery store. So you can see there's perch rails, a light in there as well, and then little brown scratch mats. And what those scratch mats do, it provides the hens with a little bit of a different textured surface to go to and peck at, scratch around on, lay on, pretend to dust bathe. It just allows them to perform a few more natural behaviors in their house. And then the light in the coop is just above those scratch mats. The birds almost pretend to sun themselves a little bit, so they like having that light. And it also keeps the end of the coop nice and dim and private for them to lay their eggs in, which again, they prefer a nice secluded, dim area for their egg laying. So you can see in the back, there's a little white pipe with little red drinking cups. So this is how we get fresh, clean water to our chickens 24/7. So basically, for a hen to drink, and there might be one over here thinking about drinking, she just taps that little metal nipple, we call it a drinking nipple, with her beak, and a nice fresh stream of water streams out into her beak, which is great. We want our hens to drink over 200 milliliters of water every day to be nice and healthy and have great egg production as well. Another part of their house, this is where their feed is. So you can see, we call this a feed trough, and we are able to dish feed out with a feed chain in the bottom of the trough. So it comes out from the big feed bins at the front through what's called an auger system and hopper system into the feed trough, and then the chain moves the whole length of the barn and spreads the feed to every single hen. So every hen has 24-hour access to feed and water and nesting and perching and scratching. Something else that's automated in this barn, and in actually all chicken barns, is we are able to remove the hen's manure as often as we want. So in the little coops that the hens are housed in, you can see there's a mesh floor for a reason. We want the hen's poop to go through down onto that manure belt. We are able to run those belts and remove the manure as often as we want, and that keeps the air nice and fresh and clean, ammonia free in here, which is just fantastic for the farmers, fantastic for the chickens, and it just keeps everything nice and clean. That's actually one of my favorite jobs to do. It's very satisfying, just cleaning everything up. And again, a bit of a misconception. That's why we have the mesh floor, and the birds, it's designed strategically so that the birds' feet are always nice and supported. We actually see very, very good foot health out of these barns. You can see the eggs are all in a single file, and we collect our eggs almost individually. So you can see the eggs are being separated here into our egg collection suction system. Very, very gently feeding into an elevator. One at a time. Eggs are very fragile. Going up the elevator and up onto our conveyor. Again, very gentle, trying not to bump into anybody, and then down the conveyor. And that takes us into our egg packaging room.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I hope you had lots of time to come up with some exciting questions for me. So with that, if you guys want to start typing them into the message box there. So the first question here is from Mrs. Armstrong. So how many years does it take for a baby chick to grow to be a full-grown chicken? So that's a great question. So the hens are 19 weeks old. So 5 to 6 months of age by the time they are mature enough that the reproductive system actually is able to create their first egg. So at that point, we have to move the hens from what's the pullet farm, that baby chicken farm that we saw, into the hen barn where we have egg beds and nesting facilities. Is there another? Next question from Mercedes. Do chickens have teeth? I love this question. Chickens do not have teeth. So what they have instead is actually, it's very interesting with anatomy. This little muscle ball that's in their throat or in their chest called a gizzard. And it's a big muscle that when a chicken swallows a little piece of feed whole, the muscle kind of works and it grinds up that feed inside the hen's in her throat, basically. So when you're watching like different movies or television shows and hens pick up little pieces of grit or little stones, the gizzard collects those stones and the stones actually grind up the feed for them. So very interesting. Next question, how many eggs can a hen lay in one day? So a hen lays about 1 egg every day, which is quite impressive. It's a whole long process through her oviduct, but it takes out of those, I believe it's 25 hours to lay one entire egg. 21 of those hours takes to shell the egg with the calcium. Next question, how do you know when chickens are laying an egg? Great question. So typically it's morning. That's typically the end of the cycle. And the hens, I mean, they're all kind of within a window. I don't know what it's like to lay an egg, but sometimes she makes a little sound. She kind of hunches over a little bit, but she definitely likes to find a nice, dim, private corner to do her business. So good question. What is an eggshell made of? Great question again. So it's made of 100% calcium. So we actually supplement the hen's feed with this vitamin by actually using little bits. It's like oyster shell or shell rock or limestone. And when a hen eats that, her body absorbs it and she's able to put that calcium back onto an eggshell every single day. It's very important that the hen has enough calcium in her diet when she's laying one whole egg every day. All right. Well, I think that's the end of our question period. Thank you guys so much. And if you have any other barn questions, please write them down because there will be an opportunity at the end of our session here to ask a few more. So for the next section of our video, we're going to go into our egg grading station. So that's the next step in the process for you guys to get eggs at the grocery store. So our company, Grey Ridge Eggs, we have refrigerated egg trucks that travel around to all of the farms in Ontario. And we pick up eggs once or twice per week to make sure they're nice and fresh before they end up at the grocery store. We bring them back to our egg facilities. So we have 2 in Ontario where we wash them, we sort them, and we package them and then send them back out to the grocery store. So we prepared a little video for you and I'm going to talk over the video just to explain what's going on. And then you'll have an opportunity to ask a few questions after the session. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so here's a fresh skid of eggs here that's arrived from farm. It takes 4 to 7 days for the eggs to arrive from farm to grocery store. So this egg grading process is very quick. You can see we have some employees in our facility unloading those stacks of eggs that those farmers worked hard to create. And we have lots of automated machinery and computer sensors used to prevent any egg breakage for this whole process. So this is a series of high-powered suction cups unpacking those eggs from the trays onto this rubber roller belt. Before the eggs go into the washer, we want those eggs rolling to make sure that we're able to wash every corner of those eggs if there's any little bits of dust or poop on those eggs still from the barn. And then they travel into what's called our candling booth. So the eggs are rolling over very bright lights while our candler person is looking inside to see if there's any abnormalities in those eggs or manure on the eggs as well. We also check for cracks and pull those out before the eggs are sent down the line, which is what we're watching right now, before they're carefully placed down. That's what that brush was all about, onto our packer belt. Very similar machinery as to what they use in the barn to package the eggs, except now we're packaging them into fiber cartons that you can see happening right now. Again, lots of automation involved and lots of maintenance help needed as well to make sure we're not accidentally breaking any of the eggs. And then we manually package every carton into a wire basket, very carefully. And then those wire baskets are built into a skid of eggs and then taken over into our finished cooler, where every day truckloads of eggs are sent out to the grocery stores near you. All right. So I hope you guys had an opportunity to think of a few questions for how the egg grading process happens. And with that, let's get started with the first one. So our first question from a grade 2 class. So how do you keep the eggs clean? So this is the multi-stage process here. A lot of that actually happens on the farm. There's a first sort of quality control check that the farmers are doing, pulling out any eggs that are covered in quite a bit of manure, or if an egg accidentally got broken and a good egg rolled through that, they would pull those eggs out as well. But when they go to the grading station, there can be a little bit of tiny little flecks of dust or poop still on the eggs. So we have a series of brushes and nozzles of water that actually spritz the eggs for about a whole minute. And while those eggs are returning on that rubber roller belt, it basically scrubs those eggs squeaky clean, and it's all like food grade detergent and then a rinse after that helps keep them clean. Do chickens lay eggs every day, no matter the weather? Great question. So this is one large reason why we like to keep our hens in an environmentally controlled barn. So we have special lights that are built just for chickens, exactly what they need. Keep the barn at a very particular temperature as well to make sure they're staying nice and warm and comfortable. And if we're giving the hen a proper environment like that, she will lay an egg a day no matter what. So the key is to keep her comfortable so she's stress-free and just doing her business. Next question, why do chickens lay different sizes of eggs? So I'm sure you guys have realized at the grocery store you can buy small, medium, large, extra large, jumbo, and there's also double yolk eggs too. And it all comes down to how old the chicken is. So when she lays her very first egg at 19 weeks of age, it's typically like a peewee or a small egg because she's young. And as the chicken grows and is gradually eating a little bit more every day and growing on body weight as well, that egg size will gradually increase. Majority of her life, she does lay a large size egg. And that's strategic for a few different reasons. It's just a really nice sized egg. It's what probably a lot of you also like to buy at the grocery store. And it's just a very consistent part of her life through body weight and feed consumption. How do you remove a bag egg? How do you remove a bad egg during this process? I think that was a spelling error. No problem. So during the egg grading process, so you saw in the candling booth that we had, there is some workers in that booth that were sort of pulling out eggs, sorting them. So it's actually done manually by people. And if they accidentally missed any, have a crack detector and a dirt detector after the fact that it sensors that scans the egg or gently taps the egg to see a pressure return on that. And then the machine actually pulls the egg on a different line as well, just to make sure that it's only ever grade A eggs that are going in the cartons to the grocery store. And a grade A egg is not cracked, non-dirty, and a perfect shape. So how long is the process from farm to grocery store? Great question. And this can range. As I mentioned, we pick up eggs from farm once or twice per week. So typically the range is about 4 to 7 days. They're depending on a slower time of year, maybe summertime when everybody's out traveling. There might be a few extra days in there, maybe up to like 8 or 9 days, but it's still very fresh. The eggs are sent to the grocery store immediately. And during busy periods like Thanksgiving and Christmas, where a lot of us are baking, preparing to see our friends and our family, eggs are often graded right off the truck and sent to the grocery store next day. So very fresh. Okay, so I think that's the end of our question period. And again, if there's any other questions, feel free to keep those aside and ask them at the end of the session. Great questions. And I'm very excited to verbally hand this off to Chef Mike for a glimpse into his local grocery store to buy some eggs for his exciting recipe that he has to share with you. So enjoy this next video. And Mike is also going to do an introduction for himself. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Janelle. That was a lot of information. I'm really happy to be here today. I love cooking eggs. It's one of my favorite things to cook because you can use them in anything. You can bake with them. You can have them for breakfast, have them for dinner, have them for lunch, snacks. So I'm going to show you actually one of my favorite recipes to cook. So we'll watch a little video, and then after that, I'll take any questions that anyone has about cooking eggs or even about any nutritional information you might have.
Hi, I'm Chef Mike. Now that we've seen the eggs on the farm, I'm going to show you a little fun recipe you can do with your family to use those eggs. But first, we got to go off to the grocery store.
Okay, so we made it safely here to the grocery store, and I will see you on the inside. Safety first. Okay, so we're here in the grocery store now. We're going to see if we can find our eggs. It looks like they're just over here. And we found them. That's a lot of eggs. So whenever I buy eggs, I always like to make sure that there are no broken eggs. They do a great job of transporting eggs, but every once in a while, one or two gets broken. So we just always double check that there are no broken eggs. And these look awesome to me. Now let's go find some vegetables. So we're here in the produce section at the grocery store, and we're going to be picking out some yummy vegetables that we can use for a fun little project we're going to do at the end of our recipe. No. Cheese. Pizza sauce. English muffins. Okay, we've got everything we need. Now it's time to pay at the checkout, and we'll get cooking.
Pizza egg melt!
So we're back from the grocery store, and we've got all the ingredients that we need, including these eggs. It's a lot of really good information on the carton of eggs, like the red maple leaf symbol. That means that the eggs are from Canadian farmers and that they're top quality. And this green label here for Foodland Ontario, that means that they're from farmers in Ontario.
Science Mike!
Hi, I'm Science Mike, and I'm here today to describe the different parts of the egg. We have the egg white, the egg yolk, and this funny little thing here called the chalaza. Now that we have a closer look, we can see all this watery white and this firmer white here. That's called our egg white, and that has all the protein that you get from an egg to make your muscles nice and big and strong. This part here is called the egg yolk, this yellow part. That has all of your vitamins and nutrients in your body to keep it strong and healthy. And that's all held into place with this thin skin called a membrane to protect it. Then over here, this white part here, that's called the chalaza. And what that is this egg white that's just spun up into a tight kind of a cord. And that stops, it works like a shock absorber to stop this yolk from breaking and rattling around inside the egg.
Cook the eggs.
So the first step to our recipe is to crack our eggs into a bowl. Okay, now that our eggs are cracked, we'll add a little splash of milk. Not too much. And then we'll add a little bit of salt and pepper just for a little extra flavor. And then we whisk. Keep whisking until we have a uniform yellow color. It just shows that the egg yolks and the egg whites are all blended together.
Now we're scrambling our eggs until they're nice and fluffy. Look at these yummy scrambled eggs. These are cooking up perfectly.
Toast the bread.
So step 2 of our recipe is to toast our English muffins. We'll just pop these into the toaster. And as we wait for these to toast, Science Mike is going to explain the difference between white eggs and brown eggs. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, what's the difference between a white egg and a brown egg? Well, the reality is, they're both identical on the inside. The only real difference is that white eggs come from white chickens and brown eggs come from brown chickens.
Build your pizza.
Now that we've toasted our English muffins and have them on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, we can move on to step 3, assembling our pizza egg melts. And the first part of step 3 is to top our English muffins with pizza sauce. The next part to assembling our pizza egg melts is to top our English muffins with the scrambled eggs that we cooked earlier. Now that we have all of our scrambled egg laid out, we can top it with some shredded cheese. It's pepperoni time. Now we're going to pop these into an oven set to 450 degrees for 5 minutes. Now it's time to get these out of the oven. Wow, did those ever look good?
Make it fun.
So our 5th step is an optional one, but it's the best part, it's the fun part. We get to take our pizza egg melts and make them into faces. So we can make cute little faces that look like emojis and be as creative as you want. You can add green peppers, do different herbs, olives, whatever your favorite vegetables are to make them into your favorite characters.
Let's eat.
Let's give these a try. Those are delicious. Science Mike, what do you think? Okay, I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and hopefully it's a recipe that everyone will go home and hopefully make with their families. Now we're going to open things up to any questions you have about the recipe or about cooking eggs, and then we can also answer any questions that maybe Janelle might be able to answer for you. So the first question is from Jordan. What's Chef Mike's favorite way to eat eggs? I like to eat eggs in pretty much everything, but one of my favorite things to do is hard-boiled eggs, just because you can have them ready in the fridge, have them as a snack, make sandwiches with them, add them to salads. And actually, I was hoping that somebody was asking this question because I have a fun little hack that we can do. I just have a container here with water and a couple of hard-boiled eggs still in the shell. So basically, just add a little bit of water to that, and then we'll snap the lid on nice and tight. If you take this and just shake it around, and then eventually, if all goes as planned, which it doesn't always, we will have hard-boiled eggs with the shell removed, which didn't fully come off for me, but you can just give it a quick rinse under there, and then they're ready to go. And all your shells are just kind of floating here in the water. Any other questions? From Mary Elaine, what's the difference between soft-boiled and poached in terms of nutritional value? There is no difference. There's very little bit of water in poaching eggs, and all the nutrients still manage to stay into the egg. So there's very little difference in terms of nutritional value. They're both very healthy, full of nutrition, and both delicious. Victoria wants to know if you can leave eggs out of the refrigerator and still be safe to eat. No. So eggs should always remain refrigerated. 2 hours is usually the most that they should sit out at room temperature. Beyond that, they are no longer safe to eat.
And I just wanted to add one thing onto that, Chef Mike, as well,
Yes.
is because it's a rule here in Canada that we have to wash our eggs. The eggs, after they're washed, must be refrigerated. Some people, if they've traveled to Europe, they notice that they see eggs on the grocery store shelf, not in a refrigerator. Those eggs are not washed. And then they can stay out of the fridge for a little bit longer.
Yeah, so if you have backyard chickens, that's something that you often will see is people with backyard chickens. If the eggs aren't washed, they can be left out. So we have kindergarten Burton Marshall. Is there a nutritional value difference between brown and white? No, just as I said in the video, they're identical on the inside. The only real difference is that white eggs are from white chickens and brown eggs are from brown chickens, but the insides are exactly the same. This one's from Lisa Clement. Jenna wants to know how you become a chef and tell us about your first time cooking. There's lots of different ways to become a chef. It was one of my first part-time jobs when I was, I think I was 14. I was still in school, and it was my part-time job on the weekends, mostly just peeling potatoes. But yeah, you can go to school to become a chef. But most of it is just working, and it takes time. And the more you cook, the more you learn. And if you have a passion for cooking, I really hope that you pursue that. And my first time cooking, I don't even remember because I was so young. My parents let me do a lot of experimenting in the kitchen when I was young. So I remember cooking some pretty elaborate meals, some of them good, some of them not. But we learn from our mistakes. This one's from Lily. Is it okay to eat many, many eggs in a day? Yes, it is. I mean, there's a limitation to it. You probably shouldn't eat 50 eggs in a day, but to eat, 2 to even 7, 8 eggs in a day is totally fine. There's a misconception that the egg yolk contains a lot of cholesterol, and it does, but it's actually really good fats, and those fats that are in the egg yolk are really good for brain health, will also help you to see better. There's so many nutrients in there, and anything that your body doesn't use will just come out in the morning. You mentioned Foodland Ontario earlier. What does that mean? So in the video I mentioned, again, I was hoping someone would bring this up, but I have the carton, see if I can show it here. That green label, it just means that eggs are from eggs and vegetables, fruits, anything that's from Ontario farms. Jenna will have that Foodland Ontario label. And I know for kindergarten students may not fully understand what Ontario means. It just means that they're farms that are close to where you live.
There's lots of benefits to having food that comes from close to where you live. It supports farmers in your community, but also is better for the environment. It doesn't have to come on ships and trucks and planes that use gas and hurt the environment. So the more you can eat locally, the better off we all are. Mrs. Esnard's class is wondering what the healthiest way to eat an egg is. The two healthiest ways I would say would be to either poach an egg or to hard boil an egg. It doesn't include any sort of fats in there, but a little bit of fat's not bad either. So frying an egg in a little bit of butter, as long as you're not, throwing in huge scoops of butter, they're all healthy and delicious ways, as long as you use butter in moderation, or a little bit of olive oil in moderation. This one's for you, Janelle.
From Diane, how did Janelle get into her job? Great question. So actually, I did not grow up on a farm. I'm sure you'd all be very shocked to hear that. I went to the University of Guelph, always being an animal lover for my whole life. I'm a big horse nerd too, for anyone out there who likes horses. But while at the University of Guelph, I found animal science and agriculture, and I realized that there was a lot of different opportunities in that program to work with animals after school. And while there, I found the poultry industry during one of my summer jobs and thought that chickens were just so interesting, how their body works and their behavior. And I was able to find a great opportunity working for Grey Ridge. Any other questions out there? Oh, here we go.
Okay, so I'll read this and we'll see who's best to answer it. Question from our grade 6 class. Is it okay to eat liquid egg yolk, or is it better to eat hard-boiled? I'm assuming what you mean is in a cooked egg. So if you have soft-boiled egg and you have a runny yolk, to be honest, yeah, that's always how I prefer to eat most of my eggs, is with a runny yolk. It is completely fine to eat a runny yolk. It's mostly just the egg white that needs to be fully cooked, just to ensure that there's no pathogens, anything that's going to make you sick from eating it. So anything that can make you sick is just in the egg white. So just ensure that the egg white is fully cooked. Do you leave some eggs? This one is for you here.
Yeah. So the question, do you leave some eggs to hatch or do you send them all to the stores? So super great question. All of our chickens in our barns are female chickens. So there's actually no chicks inside any of our eggs. And a female chicken, when given the proper nutrition, and her anatomy and the way she's built, she's able to lay an egg every day for us, which are destined for the grocery stores.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my little part of this tour. And Janelle did an awesome job of taking on the farm tours and the grading stations. So I'll pass it off to you. But thank you.
I'm sad Science Mike couldn't join us at the same time.
I was surprised I didn't get any questions about Science Mike.
Thank you so much, everybody. And I hope you're enjoying a happy World Egg Day. And thanks for celebrating with us. Enjoy the rest of your day.